Back to what she said. Sports, happy Friday, fam. It's nice to see y'all. All right. Uh-oh. Last night and yesterday, all of the live streams were very, very engaging. Thank y'all so much. And the haters gave us plenty to talk about today. Now, I also gave y'all a lot of people are looking for options to support the channel. I have some QR codes on the screen. Check the bio for links. Check the comments for links. I appreciate all the love and support. So far, we are taking this channel to the next level. We are a podcast community of like-minded individuals. We are Buff fans, we are football fans, we are NFL fans, college football fans. And currently, at this present time, we are rallying around QB1, Shedeur Sanders. I feel like there should be no explanation if you watch the NFL draft as to what's taking place, continuing to take place in Cleveland. So I have some posts on the screen, just kind of showing you guys the visual of what we've been talking about. How, like I've been saying, this is not new, right? Racial bias in the NFL draft, black quarterbacks undervalued. What did I say? That's exactly what they did to Shedeur Sanders. You know, running in place, how the NFL continues to devalue black quarterbacks, right? So this isn't anything new. As I've said multiple times, this is the most extreme case. I've said that, hopefully Shedeur can come to an understanding that he's in a toxic environment, fueled with bias, with people who feel like he don't belong, right? That he's not good enough to be QB1 in their eyes because he's black, right? And Duke's the scoop, right? From some of the CU channels, um, talked about did a reaction to Colin Cowherd's video. Salute to Duke because it needed to be said. And I just want to add on to that. We've talked about Colin Cowherd before. I pointed out how Colin Cowherd has always been a hater of Shedeur Sanders. And when you heard him saying, oh, he could start, what did I say? You better side eye that because that's coming from a plot, right? Because if you denigrated him, disparaged him in the draft, said he wasn't good enough in the draft, why all of a sudden, when he's been robbed of $40 million and he's only being paid $4 million, can he suddenly start? Because you successfully devalued him. And if you look at the screen, what does it say the NFL is guilty of? Devaluing black quarterbacks in the draft, period. Even in their careers. I've said it in college, pre-draft, during the draft, and in their careers, So we're gonna add on to that today. This is a part of the ugly business of football. And technically, this isn't business, it's unethical. See, what we've been seeing with Shedeur is nothing, it's bullying. We teach kids, no bullying. Schools have no tolerance for bullying, zero tolerance for bullying. We're watching adults bully a young kid who is still developing psychologically. And it seems that they hope that it negatively affects him. And I am of the opinion, as are others, since it negatively affected his father's health, it's also negatively affecting the person that it happened directly to, Shedeur Sanders. I've said it multiple times. Coach Prime was collateral damage. This isn't about Coach Prime. It says racial bias in the NFL against black quarterbacks. What is Shedeur Sanders? A black quarterback. What did we see him? What do we see happen to him in addition to collusion, in addition to just cruel and unusual punishment? What did we see in addition to the bullying and the public humiliation, devaluing, taking him from $40 million to $4 million? And then now in Cleveland, after the unfriendly and condescending and cold welcome, as if he's going to be a problem, we're not giving him anything, as if he asked for a handout, right? What do you see there? More devaluing. You're not good enough to run with the ones, even though it's supposed to be an open and fair competition. You're not good enough to run, to throw the football to the ones. You're a fourth string QB. You can't pick your jersey. We're going to assign you the 12. Because when you're a fifth round QB, you don't get to pick your jersey. Travis Hunter gets to pick his jersey. Bullying. And it should not be lost on anyone that the money that Shedeur was supposed to make as the number 2 franchise QB for Cleveland, which is what he was going to be, went to who? Travis, his friend. That's how they try to divide and conquer. But Travis Hunter hasn't signed his contract, right? And I have a poll out asking people if they think Shedeur should go to Canada. And it's split right down the middle. But let's talk about if he should. And one of the reasons we're going to talk about it is because something Coach Prime put out today, talking about finishing strong, right? What are we getting ready to finish? We thought it was a beginning, right? So we're going to talk about that, right? But let's just be clear for a minute. Let's say Shedeur does get the opportunity, because being fired, being released is a new beginning. It worked well for Shannon Sharp, right? It worked really well for Shannon Sharp after what? They fired him from Fox, Undisputed. Joy Reid, they fired her from MSNBC. And guess what? She just shared yesterday they got to 1 million views like that. Don Lemon got fired from CNN. He's doing well. Then they had to compensate him, and he's doing well on his own independently. Something I want this channel to be. Hit the like button, support the channel, subscribe, because that's the best way to do it. I'm looking for sponsors. I'm looking for support from the fans so we can keep speaking the truth. Hit that QR code, right? So Shedeur Sanders is, like his father, has been negatively affected with emotional distress, right? After what? Being publicly humiliated in front of 7.3 million people. And let me tell you what Colin Cowherd is doing. He knows that. He knows what happened to Shedeur was what? Coming off the heels of what? The NFL draft. Being devalued, colluded against. They took him off the board and didn't even tell him. They had his phone number. Why they didn't call him and tell him? Because they sent his phone number out to 2,000 people who did not need to know. Where's the accountability for that data breach? Where's the accountability for the collusion against Shedeur? For the owner saying, take that entitled so-and-so off the board, which was language lifted the tongue of the New York Giants head coach, which was a lie. And after Ms. Pilar called out the New York Giants, they backed off of their lie about he was prepared. This young man's nickname is Gronk, right? So Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the damages caused by emotional distress, cruelty, collusion, public humiliation. He's deflecting because he's saying Shedeur Sanders shouldn't be QB1 because he got a speeding ticket. Now, nobody over the age of 25 with common sense believes that Shedeur shouldn't be QB1 because he got a damn speeding ticket. Everybody has been sharing their own stories about how well these cars are so constructed these days. You don't have that shake, rattle, and roll. That he likely was listening to music, vibing out in a good place. Joy despite the pain. And they want to act like he got to be perfect or he can't be QB1. They willing to put in somebody that failed because he got a speeding ticket. Colin Cowherd is saying, I don't think he's mature enough. Let's go with Kenny Pickett. Go with Kenny Pickett. I want to see you do it. I want to see you go with Joe Flacco. See you do it. I want to see you go with Dylan Gabriel because you know Flacco hasn't played a full NFL season since 2017, and his last best season was 2014. You know exactly who Kenny Pickett is, a backup. You know Joe Flacco is part-time. You know Dylan Gabriel was never intended to be a starter. You had intended for him to be exactly what he is, the third string backup. You intended for Shedeur Sanders to be your franchise QB until you realize that you have Deshaun Watson. And because you paid Mason Graham, when you needed a quarterback, and now you want to talk about getting a quarterback next year. Sounds like they just reeled him in and set him up, and they were never intending to draft him. That's cruelty. And Colin Cowherd wants to say he's immature when he's likely trying to cope with the negative effects of being publicly humiliated. His phone number given out to 2,000 people and landed in the hands of Ole Miss sweatshirt guy that has not been held accountable for using inside information with executive level information with the Ole Miss connection to the New York Giants and the Mannings. And Colin Cowherd said that he's not mature. He didn't say, yeah, I'm sure, as his father is suffering from what happened to Shedeur. This is what happened to Shedeur. Of course, it's likely directly affecting Shedeur because that's who it happened to. Common sense said if his dad has lost 15 to 20 pounds and his voice, he's hoarse. That's stress on your immune system. That Shedeur is trying to cope with going into a toxic environment and dealing with a reporter who's supposed to be reporting on all rookies, but all she can seem to talk about is Shedeur Sanders. Targeting. He's been targeted. He's been bullied. He's been public humiliated. He's been devalued. His pockets have been picked. He's been told he's not good enough. He's been lied on. He's been defamed. And every day he has to go into Cleveland and it start all over again with you're not good enough. So Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the emotional distress that Shedeur is trying to cope with. Meaning, and also competing for a position that he's already proven that he's best in, and he wants to come out and pounce and bully a young kid. He don't want nobody bullying his 23-year-old, but he's willing to do it to Shedeur. Why? Why do you think you could bully that young man? If you want Kenny Pickett to start, then God damn it, start him. And if you don't want Shedeur in the NFL, then you never should have drafted him. But you're not going to hold him for 4 years and destroy his career and bully him. That's what you're not going to do. So Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the real truth, the emotional distress this young man is suffering from and trying to cope with because these damn adults decided to bully him in front of 7.3 million people and take him off the board. Older people who are supposed to be wiser and to guide decided to have a public lynching. They want to end him. They want to destroy him. And because he is of good character, they couldn't find nothing. So they said he wasn't good enough. But now he got a traffic ticket. He can't start because he's immature. Then start whoever the hell you want to start. But you better show him respect every goddamn day. You don't have no cause to bully him because you don't want him to be the starter. What's wrong with Shedeur being the 17th black starting quarterback out of 32 teams? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, Colin Cowherd? What's wrong with it? No, he is mature, but he's human. And y'all are treating him like he's a rag doll that you done tied up to a damn tree like a pinata, and you taking a weapon, and each of y'all taking a turn, and you're battering him. And that's negligence by the NFL. So if you didn't want Shedeur Sanders, if you didn't want quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, something an NFL insider told Mel Kiper Jr., then why did you draft him? Because you don't want him to go to Canada where he gonna ball out like Warren Moon did? That's exactly what he should do. Because y'all don't deserve him. He's too damn good for y'all. Y'all don't even appreciate him. In fact, y'all hate him. And it shows. You don't want the majority of your starting quarterbacks to be black, then stop drafting black quarterbacks. They can go start their own league and, yes, compete directly with you, which is what you don't want, which is why you draft and bench, draft and destroy, draft and dump down to a damn pocket passer. You have dual threat quarterbacks and you want Lamar Jackson to be a pocket passer. You done colluded against Lamar Jackson 3 times. You just gonna do the same damn thing that Shedeur Sanders, so he is better off. Release him so he can be set free to go shine in Canada, or maybe his father can start his own damn league because that's what he should do after y'all stabbed him in the goddamn back. You're supposed to be his friend. You had him up here on this stage. But see, you knew when you had him on the stage. what you was gonna do. Because wasn't Roger Goodell concerned about him? But his own kids didn't have no cause for concern? Was Roger Goodell tipping his hand? Because the NFL is who sent out Shedeur Sanders' phone number. And they have not held Ole Miss sweatshirt guy accountable or identified him. And he had inside information. And the Ole Miss connection runs through the New York Giants at the quarterback position, and it involves the Mannings. And the Mannings, Archie Manning, played for the Saints. Then he played for the Giants. And his son, Eli Manning, also went to Ole Miss just like Archie did, played for the Giants. So it seems like the rules was to block Shedeur from where Archie Manning played in New Orleans and New York. What, they didn't want Shedeur to be the quarterback in New York? They have never had a black starting quarterback in New York, and it's supposed to be Russell Wilson. We shall see. Because even though they wanted to put on this pageant after the draft, after they traded up to get Jackson Dart because they didn't want nobody else to get it because nobody else was interested. They didn't want Shedeur because the New York Giants have never had a black starting quarterback. And with all of the negative lies and the sham stories about Shedeur Sanders, a character assassination was put together in a prank to publicly humiliate him by way of an impersonation of somebody from the Saints. That young man know who to impersonate, and how did he know Shedeur Sanders was going to have to wait? The same way he got Shedeur Sanders' phone number from an executive level and up employee with a connection to Ole Miss and the New York Giants. That's how. That's exactly how. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about accountability. Well, if you want to talk about accountability, who the hell was that with that Ole Miss sweatshirt on? And why hasn't he been identified? And why hasn't he been held accountable for what he did to Shedeur Sanders? Because he was reading from a script. That's why. And young people don't write nothing down. There's a video going by right now with the GM of the New York Giants asking his son, who's casually laying on the couch, look like he's throwing a football around, who should the New York Giants draft? His son is like, just get Jada Daniels. I'm like, ho. This how we do scouting? Is that how scouting works? We ask our 10-year-old son, our 17-year-old son, was that his son making a phone call? His daughter goes to Ole Miss. She penned a open, heartfelt letter to her schoolmate Jackson Dart. So is that how Jackson Dart got drafted? He asked the kids. So what do the scouts do? Then New York just some scouts? Why? Because if you asking your son if you should draft Jada Daniels, did you ask your son if you should draft Jackson? Or did you ask your daughter who goes to Ole Miss? And since you want to make her happy, you decided to lie on Shedeur to justify one of your kids picking for you when you have a whole scouting staff out here. So the way the New York Giants conduct business is unethical. The prank was carried out with inside information. There's been no accountability. Shedeur has not shrieked accountability for a traffic ticket. Why would he? Many of us have had traffic tickets at his age. If you ask the insurance industry, they're going to tell you, yeah, young people, this happens. That's why the insurance rates are so high. That's why they can't rent luxury cars before they turn 25. And that's why marketers prey on the age group of 18 to 25 because they're impulsive, because they don't always make the right decision, because they don't think about everything they have to lose, or they don't think about the what ifs, because their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. Shedeur Sanders isn't perfect, nor should he have to be in order to start. He has to be the best. And he has the driver. And they're going to be jealous about that next. Because they already said he was entitled, which means they have a problem with him being wealthy. Maybe they don't think black people are supposed to be wealthy, like they don't think there's supposed to be a black starting quarterback in New York. Colin Cowherd is deflecting. There are damages here. The last collusion case, which just wrapped up in January before the Super Bowl, found the NFL guilty of collusion against black veteran quarterbacks. Now they're guilty of collusion against a black rookie draft prospect and quarterback. Because the Cleveland Browns are not innocent here. Look at how they welcomed Shedeur. He was obviously not comfortable. And the moment they see him get comfortable with the kids and doing this, oh, he's too slow to read the plays. So now they want to go back to race norming. Something they just paid out $1 billion settlement for saying that black NFL players have lower cognitive functioning. This was just in 2021, and they still fighting about it in 2024. So does the NFL not respect these black players? Which is why they excuse away peak substance because he's not a quarterback. But when you go to hold the most coveted position, the most important position in NFL as a black quarterback, you get devalued. And if you sneeze wrong, you lose your starting job. Tyrod Taylor finally ascended to a starter. A doctor with the New York Giants was supposed to be giving the Chargers was supposed to be giving him a routine injection for pain and punctured his lung. If you know anything about anatomy, your lung is not right underneath your epidermis. It's not. That doctor still works for the Chargers. The outcome, Tyrod Taylor lost his starting job to Justin Herbert and never got it back. He's suing, looking for a reason for black quarterbacks not to start. Why is Cam Ward, who's the best in this draft? QB1s don't compete for their jobs. But if they did, why is Cam Ward competing against Will Levis, who already failed? So it's okay for an older white QB to fail and get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. But a young black quarterback has to compete with the white older quarterback who failed. Or in the case of Caleb Williams the year before, if he's thinking maybe the NFL isn't right for me, his father thinking maybe he should stay in school because his father knows his NFL history about black quarterbacks and how they are severely devalued in the draft. He was thinking maybe I should do something else. And then he signs his contract. He comes in and he gets sacked 68 times. Russell Wilson was one of those quarterbacks in the collusion case. He got sacked 100 times. The NFL has an ugly relationship with black quarterbacks. In fact, black quarterbacks are in an abusive relationship with the NFL. And the younger they are, when they rookies and they start, they have a problem with it. What is the problem with Shedeur Sanders being number 17, making the majority of the starters of 32 teams are black? What's the problem with it? You still believe your race norming? You still believe that black players have lower cognitive functioning, so therefore that's why they can't be the majority? You want to stand on that? That's the hill you want to die on? So Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the damages done to Shedeur Sanders in the draft. He's a young man trying to deal with hatred. He's a young man trying to deal with overcoming public humiliation. Did we see how Travis was affected when everybody was talking about him? He closed his social media. How you think Shedeur felt sitting in front of 7.3 million people that the NFL invited to come see him get publicly humiliated? Because they took him off the board and didn't tell him, but they had his phone number. And that's how Ole Miss sweatshirt guy got it, from the NFL itself. Colin Cowherd is deflecting. He's covering for the NFL. Kenny Pickett can start? Sure, go ahead. But that don't mean he better than Shedeur. Shedeur's not immature. He's under a lot of stress. He's trying to cope. He was likely listening to music, trying to keep his mind in the right place because that's what his father taught him. So let's talk about what his father's saying now. I was trying to put out a post today that said, let's finish strong. Let's finish, not only finish, complete the assignment in a way that is admired and respected. To finish, you must complete everything. And to be strong at the finish, that means you're conditioned and prepared for the task. Believe in you, baby. Let's go. Understand this. This young man have to go out here to a toxic environment. I told y'all Kevin Stefanski was placating. I told y'all him coming out doing a reverse pivot was about something, and you want to keep your head on the swivel. I told y'all the Cleveland Browns could not be trusted with Shedeur Sanders' safety, security, and career, and we're right. Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the pain, the suffering, the emotional distress, the damages. That collusion case where Russell Wilson was sacked 100 times, why it seemed to be happening, was found. Yes, the NFL is guilty of collusion, but not enough to award damages. Well, here we go again. And the NFL is guilty of collusion, and there is enough to award damages. So pay up or release him, because we go where he go. In 2023, the Carolina Panthers sold their tickets for 45 cents, and nobody still showed up. It can happen again. So start Kenny Pickett. I want to see him start Kenny Pickett. I want to see him start everybody but Shedeur. And I want to see what the fans going to do, because the fans already know Shedeur the best player they got. The fans know Shedeur can help them win. The fans know Shedeur can play the whole season. What I don't know is if the O-line going to show up. Because why? Cleveland did not prioritize their O-line in the draft as they should. They didn't prioritize a starting quarterback in the draft as they should. They didn't prioritize a wide receiver in the draft as they should. When they want to berate Deshaun Watson after they gave him $240 million after he settled 24 civil lawsuits for misconduct. And that was in 2022. So there's a lot of misconduct here that needs to be investigated. There's a lot that discovery could prove, but there's a lot that has been proven already and revealed, and I don't need discovery for it. The NFL is guilty of collusion. The Cleveland Browns appear to have set Shedeur up, never intending to draft him. That needs to be investigated because that's unethical. Colin Cowherd is deflecting, trying to blame Shedeur Sanders for being in emotional distress and trying to cope with hatred by adults during the NFL draft. Owners, take that entitlement so-and-so off the board. That language came right out of the mouth of the coach of the New York Giants. Why has he not been fired? The Cleveland Browns are mishandling Shedeur Sanders, telling everybody, telling all of us that everybody's going to get a fair opportunity to compete, but Shedeur Sanders is excluded from first team reps. And they have a reporter harassing him, putting out only negative stories about him, only talking about him. They're targeting him. We already know they publicly humiliated him. We know they pushed him down till President Trump came along and said, "Are y'all stupid?" And then he got sent to Cleveland. How does he get drafted if they already took him off the board? Because they got told, "Uh-oh, we in trouble." The president just showed up. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. And they want to act like we don't remember when they asked 7.3 million people to come watch a public lynching. And now he in Cleveland, they want to destroy him. They assassinated his character. And because he's stressing and trying to cope, now he's immature. That's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I tell you you ain't crap enough and you start to believe it and act like it, then I got my way. Colin Cowherd is just as guilty. So is Albert Breer, and we're going to talk about him next. He's already been identified as the journalist who made a lot of the anonymous statements that we heard before the draft, and people kept saying in the media, "We hate these anonymous statements." And there are others hired hitmen to assassinate this young man's character because the NFL wants to hide behind the media and the league wants to hide behind the teams, like they did when they sent out Shedeur Sanders' phone number and said it was the Falcons, and it was not. It was the NFL itself. This is corruption. And they are all in on it. You can't trust nothing the media says. Nothing. And if nobody has anything to say about that pink substance and they're not willing to investigate that, because that has ketamine in it, then shut the hell up about a traffic ticket. That means you just want to use it against him. But if you black and you a wide receiver, come on in with your Tusi. Or Aaron Rodgers, accused of domestic violence in a very heinous way by Danica Patrick, and they want to quiet the story. She said he leaves a trail of blood. What the hell does that mean? And why is nobody looking into it? And why is he on the NFL team with that kind of allegation? They need to look into that. And now he's sporting a wedding ring, but his family say he ain't married nobody. So he trying to trick people into thinking that she crazy. Because this woman loved me. That's disgusting. You willing to excuse allegations of domestic violence, but you want to bully a young man about a damn parking ticket or speeding ticket. Young people speed. That's what they do. And that's why the insurance rates are so high. So you're gonna need to find something else or release it. Because we going with it. And if he since he signed this contract and he gonna be on in your league for 4 years, you better have some respect. NFL fans don't like this. We ain't just Shedeur Sanders fans. Newsflash, we are NFL fans that like college football. And we don't like what we're seeing with Shedeur Sanders. I didn't like it when it would happen to Michael Penix Jr. And now that I know about it with Vince Young, I damn sure don't like it. And Terrell Pryor, because it's a pattern. And Marlon Briscoe by the Denver Broncos, who was good, told him, we just don't want you to be our quarterback. That sounds a lot like the NFL does not want quarterbacks, plural, like Shedeur Sanders now, said by an NFL insider to Mel Kiper Jr. on or before February 20th, which was before the combine. So you didn't even have to invite him to the combine. And you never had to draft him since you didn't want quarterbacks like him. And what the hell does that mean? Because you drafted two pocket passes right after him instead of him. So you ain't talking about dual threat versus pocket passer. And you also didn't draft Jalen Milroe. He's a dual threat. He probably should have went first. So when you say you don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, are you talking about black quarterbacks? Because this is the year that Shedeur Sanders will be number 17 to 32, which means that black starting quarterbacks are the majority. Colin Cowherd is deflecting from that fact that this could all be an elaborate plot and rules to destroy Shedeur because the NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, which means black quarterbacks. You see it right here. The NFL has a ugly relationship, a very abusive relationship towards black quarterbacks. This needs to stop. Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the damages that are done, from the collusion and every damn thing else that took place. That is documented. If his father has negative health effects from emotional distress because of what happened to his son, what the hell you think his son, who it happened to, is going through? Stop bullying this young man. Stop attacking him. If you don't want him in your league, release him so he can go be great elsewhere, and we are going with him. But if you think you're going to hold him and bench him and bury him, you're wrong. You're going to learn a lesson that you need to learn. The fans have a lot to say. You are dividing your fan base. And I'm not talking about black and white. I'm talking about a lot of people don't like what they see happening to Shedeur. There are kids watching. So much so that yesterday at this event, you know what the kids are telling him? Don't worry, you're going to be QB1. So when he has a driver to drop him off, whether it's a Maybach or a Dodge truck, don't get jealous because you asked for this. See, that's the problem. He just gets better and better and more protection. And you just get worse and worse. Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the truth that this young man is trying his best to cope with the hatred and the bullying by adults who want to see him fail. You don't want him to lead Cleveland to the Super Bowl because he black. It got to be Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett because you knew it wasn't going to never be Dylan Gabriel. You ain't even draft him for that purpose. You could have drafted him number 2. You don't believe in him? Why? Because he's not white? Some damn hypocrites, bro. Colin Cowherd is deflecting There are damages in this collusion case, and there's more than damages. The NFL is a corporation. Any corporation acting like this will be sued under the damn ground. And the federal government will be stepping in. They need oversight. If Donald Sterling was forced to sell his team because of the N-word caught on audio, I don't even need Discovery. I can call out 4 teams right now. And y'all know exactly who they are. And I'm throwing the Titans in there because they got Cam Ward in a dysfunctional situation who's the best quarterback out here, and they making him compete with the guy who failed. All these quarterbacks out here, and they holding on to failures. And they want the young black quarterbacks to feel, oh, you ain't that good, because that's what they told Shedeur. They lied on him. And when Mike Tomlin said he was getting ready to make a draft pick, there were these phone calls. And we had to listen to these phone calls. And it was on speaker or conference. And the other guy was still there. So we went with him. And Aaron Rodgers has allegedly been recorded or reported as saying, I told the Pittsburgh Steelers if they draft Shedeur Sanders, don't worry about me. I bet the Steelers fans would rather have Shedeur Sanders than Aaron Rodgers. And he ducking and dodging from the allegations by Danica Patrick that people are trying to act like they are not out there. When a woman says a man has left a trail of blood, you need to investigate that. You need to investigate. He don't need to be hyped up on nobody's team, and he already passed his time. His last best season was also 2022, just like Kirk Cousins. So they want these young black quarterbacks to feel like they ain't nothing coming out of college, even though they done won the Heisman or they the best. And they using these guys who's past their time or they have already failed that they have to compete against. Those guys didn't have to compete. First round QB1s. So they switching up to preserve what? Whiteness at the QB position because they don't want Shedeur, who was number 17. They chose him to be number 17. He could have went to Tennessee. Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the truth. They have bullied this young man, and he's struggling to cope, which is why he now has a driver. He's struggling to cope with the hatred and bullying by adults. Some of them he thought were friends. Y'all know Tom Brady mentored Shedeur. I've seen a video where one of the Mannings looked like Peyton was throwing the ball around with him and Coach Prime when he was younger, much younger. And the Mannings, with this connection with this Ole Miss and the New York Giants and this prank call, what the hell is going on? These are the people trying to preserve in New Orleans, in the Giants, in Tennessee, in Cleveland. What you trying to preserve? Because all y'all doing is losing. All of them are losing organizations. And all of them need to be sold. And they need to adopt public ownership, the same as the Green Bay Packers. What they have done to this young man is an abomination. And they want to act like they own, oh my God, he got a traffic ticket. Because they're looking for something, just like they did in the draft, just like the NFL Network did at CU's Pro Day. Oh, he tapping the ball. The greats tap the ball. He drifting out the pocket. It's documented. So do the greats. Especially when they try not to get sacked. Hell, it's probably a reaction to being sacked 52 times in year one behind a negligent ass O-line. And the right side was definitely negligent in year two. How many times was he sacked? 80 some odd times? And they want to use that against him. Some of them O-linemen know what they were doing. Maybe they're going to have the courage to talk about it one day. Why they threw their careers away at the behest of an adult who had issues. It's a lot of adults out here misguiding these young men. Trying to live out their plantation fantasies through the quarterback position. Black quarterbacks have been in an abusive relationship with the NFL for 9 decades. And it continues. Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the damages that this young man has had to endure and put on his shoulders, being in a toxic environment after being humiliated and colluded against in the draft. lied on, unprovoked character assassination, which was totally unnecessary. Because I don't know who the hell really thought that the New York Giants was truly going to draft Shedeur Sanders when they have never had a black starting quarterback, and it is 2025. And they were the last team in the NFL to have a black quarterback. So they're not ready for a black quarterback. Nobody's surprised. But you don't ever get the right to tear down a young black man because you don't want a black quarterback. You don't ever get to launch character assassination against black excellence because you don't want a black quarterback. That's your damn problem. That's between you, your fans, guys, the league, and the federal government. What they did to Shedeur is inexcusable, and I am not going to sit here and let them be hypocrites and try to deflect from the pain, suffering, emotional stress, and damages heaped on this young man from that damn draft, the pre-draft process. And since they know they didn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, they shouldn't have drafted him. So the NFL is guilty. And yes, there are damages. Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, Tina, how you doing? Yeah, it's so easy to cut off Shedeur for something as such as a ticket. Shedeur doesn't need his validation. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they're not about to ruin his career. They have a fight on their hands. So if they don't want Shedeur like they claim they didn't want it in the beginning, they shouldn't have never drafted him. And they did. And they try to destroy him. And they think they're going to continue it, but they're going to find out. Oh, they're going to find out. It ain't too late for a class action lawsuit for the NFL, and it needs to be $10 billion. And it needs to be by fans. Smiling, people can smile through the pain. It happens every day, right? He's trying his best to keep up, but yeah, it's affecting him. You knew it was affecting him when they did this, and he looked and still didn't do it. He even said he wasn't comfortable. He talks about the dreams he's having, stress related. His father is hoarse. That is stress related. When I saw Coach Prime on Asante Samuel's podcast, and Stephen A was the only one to talk about it in the media, pain and suffering, emotional distress, damages, and you're not going to deflect from that. If you don't want him to start, cool, but you still need to show some respect. Just because he don't start don't mean you get to harass him. You don't get to continue to bully him. No, you don't get to defame him. The media can be sued for defamation. See, the problem is they all think they're above reproach. And the media thinks because they get together and repeat something incessantly, we going to start to believe it. No, there are too many of us. They not enough of y'all. We are not one person. You can badger one person like that. There's millions of us. It ain't but a handful of y'all. Yeah, a lot of people are concerned about Shedeur. And we should be because we know he's mature. Start kitty picking this. And we don't give a damn who you start. When your fans don't show up because they know who's the best, then go ahead. You trying to start Joe Flacco over Kitty Pickett because you know Kitty Pickett can't get it done. We don't even care if Shedeur is QB2 because I don't trust your O-line. You didn't go get one in the draft. I trust it. Let me see what it do. That young man is rightfully your QB1. If you want to start your veteran and part-time Uncle Joe, go right ahead. We don't care. But you're not going to disrespect Shedeur Sanders. You're not going to lie on him. You're not going to continue to defame him. You're not going to continue to bully and publicly humiliate him. And while you are continuing to collude against him, you're not going to get away with it. Y'all some hypocrites, bro. They have no right to badger and bully that young man. That's too much on a fully grown man. Right. Nevertheless, a 23-year-old that just turned 23. He's still on the heels of 22. Yeah, everybody need to go to Colin Cowherd podcast and have a conversation with him. Absolutely. He want to be big, bold, and sit up there and lie, tell a bold-faced lie that he need to deal with the fans who have something to call him out. They call him what he is, a hypocrite. Because he flip-flop every other week when he really don't like Shedeur anyway. And all them black guys on his value network, like the one that said if the NFL keep messing with Shedeur, they need to also hold him accountable. Don't sit there and be quiet because you on his podcast network. You can probably be on your own. Y'all better take a stand. I love the way the Cleveland players rallied around Shedeur yesterday. Yeah, they want to talk about Shedeur. Shedeur never shriek no accountability. Hell, he got a driver because he's trying to cope and he's struggling with it and he needs a therapist while he up there. Every week he needs to see somebody and check in because the therapist gonna tell him what I'm getting ready to. You are in a toxic environment. And you need to learn how to cope until you exit that toxic environment. And if his father's message is a signal that maybe he's getting ready to exit it, and maybe he knew and it was starting to bother him, because who knows what the hell they're saying in the facility and on the ground in Cleveland. All you heard last week is he's getting cut. It might be bothering him again because the bullshit is starting up again. What was the media saying? Oh, he's slow. He can't read the plays. That ain't nothing but the language from the draft starting all over again for round 2, 3, or 4. And that's traumatic. That's what PTSD looks like. He was likely triggered. They know what they're doing. They trying to harm him mentally. They want him to be so disrupted by what they are saying about him that he's no longer the best. They trying to destroy him. Colin Cowherd is deflecting from that fact. There are damages here. They don't want Shedeur to outshine their legacy. Fact, they don't. Hopefully the Browns let him go so he can go where he wanted. It ain't gonna be the NFL. They don't want Shedeur to shine in the NFL. They made that clear. They should have never drafted him. They need to explain themselves. Why you drafted him if you didn't want him? And who was the NFL insider? Was it Al Greer? Who was it? Why everybody got to be anonymous? Put your name on. We gonna find out who it is anyway. Hell, I asked AI a question and they told me what Albert Greer said. I'm like, oh, so that was him, Mr. Anonymous, the anonymous scout. But we see a viral video of the son of the GM telling him to draft, who to draft. Thankfully, Jada Daniels went to Washington. Well, he really was never in any danger of going to the New York Giants. Understand that. Yeah, Shadeur's already the best, running with the twos, the threes, and the fours. It's gonna be the same when it's the ones, because the ones are better than the twos, the threes, and the fours. He the same QB. He consistent. Go listen to any CU game. I love Shedeur for his toughness and he consistent. He is not flappable. He's not. But no, nobody should have to deal with what Shedeur is dealing with. They didn't want him, so they drafted him so they could beat up on him. I'll be there. They used him for ratings. Yeah, and now they want to discard him, release him. Because Canada is waiting. And we all going. And y'all can have, see, sometimes you got to give people what they want. Oh, you don't want me? Cool. Then get this one over here. Start kitty picking. Start kitty picking. You only paid him $4 million anyway, so he really shouldn't be starting for you. I mean, that is why you devalued him. That is why you pushed him down in the draft. But you just gonna push him to an undrafted free agent. And since you got a waiver wire waiting already, sending it out with his phone number, making a joke about it, even with people in Cleveland also getting the email. Cut him. I think. Him. So he can go make some more money somewhere else. So his daddy hopefully can start a league and compete with you because he gonna win. And you know he gonna win. See, you know Shedeur is a winner. That's why you're trying to destroy him. Shame on y'all for that. Damn adults who passed their time. Can't even throw a football, trying to destroy a young man and don't want him to win. Something their league is supposed to be built on. Competition and winning. They know he could get it done, but they don't want him to because he's black. Just like they got Cam competing with the guy that failed. Or they trying to bury Jalen Milrow, who they also know could get it done. Trying to bury him on the depth chart. They already said he ain't gonna never see the field because that's their goal. And because NFL fans are rallying behind Shedeur, they trying to find an excuse as to why he can't start. Don't start then. And deal with your damn fans. That's what you do. Yeah, people saying his truck can get up to that speed in no time. Right. I think he was just listening to music, trying to do everything he can to keep himself. I mean, hell, that's what I do in the car when I'm traveling on long stretches. Shit, I turn the music up, I look down, I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know I had it in me. Ask people that know me, they're like, she drives too slow. But when cars are built nice and the road is open, and sometimes you just keeping up with the traffic. But at the same time, it was cause for concern because Shedeur doesn't normally function like that. He typically has a driver, and maybe he didn't have a driver because he didn't want them to get jealous. Well, now they got to just be jealous. He probably didn't even want to be out there like that because they said he was entitled. He didn't want to give the appearance. I don't know why he was in that damn truck in the first place. I just didn't say nothing. When I saw the video, I was like, why is he in this truck? Because they working it. He entitled, so he don't want to show none of that. That's why he didn't want to show none of this. Because they working on him. And when he did this in front of those kids, they was like, oh, I guess his confidence still there. Well, he can't read the plays. See, they know he's the best. And they know he wants to be QB1. So they think they playing keep away with QB1 and they trying to hurt him with it. Don't let him start. Don't let him start. Let him sit there. Let your damn season go up in smoke. And deal with your damn fans. Just like the Carolina Panthers did with their 45-cent tickets and nobody still went. It's doable. And the NFL don't make more than Target. And they felt it. Target make 100, is it $100 billion? Yeah, they make a lot of money. And they felt it. Thank you, Tina. Yeah, they don't want to see his wealth. They don't want to see the fans. They do not, they dread the day that they see this from an entire audience. That's what they don't want. They know he's a winner. The NFL itself has Shedeur projected as number one. Even after the NFL network, which is owned by who? Okay, went out there and started nitpicking and saying dumb stuff like he's tapping the ball, and fans had to go and pull out the truth. So does his mentor. And you know it's collusion. Because the guy that mentored him, Tom Brady, was actually brought to the Raiders to do what? To consult on quarterbacks, and he couldn't even draft the guy he mentored. That's why Antonio Brown got fired. Because they heard Coach Prime say, can you draft my son? And they figured he was black, that's what he was going to do. That's why they breathing out Mike Tomlin and calling Andrew Berry stupid, saying he going to get scammed out of his picks. The NFL got mad. Doug Williams outplayed John Elway in the Super Bowl. He didn't play another down. He sued and won. And that's what they all need to do. And I'm places why they have. I'm talking about everybody before Shedeur, including Lamar Jackson. That's just crazy. If they don't have an O line, how they gonna play Dylan? I don't know. They just expect Dylan to hand off the ball to Quinshon Judkins, who has not signed his contract. The NFL got bigger problems. They better leave Shedeur alone. He done signed his contract. So either you gonna hold him, but you ain't gonna hurt him. You gonna stop. You gonna stop. Because that's already damages. How high you wanna go? He got no problem. How high you wanna go? See, when you have a product like the NFL does, and you discount your fans, and you live out your plantation fantasies, fans don't like that. We want to see good football. Yes, there are a few fans, but you can just go on social media and tell you that's a very small voice. That's a very small voice, and they probably bots. That's why a lot of people who they want to watch something else. And they want to get that back. No, go watch something else. You shouldn't hold people back when progress happens. And if the NFL keep this up, shit, I'll be watching something else. And Shedeur gonna be in Canada, I'm gonna be watching it too. They ain't stopping nothing, but they persist. So Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the truth, the reality of what bullying does to people. And there are kids watching, but these adults don't care. They just want to execute their plantation fantasies and publicly lynch a young black man who represents black excellence. And they want to take him down over a speeding ticket. Do it then. Man, Shedeur should work for me. I hope he sees one of these videos. I hope he does. I want all I want for Shedeur to do is learn the history or learn about the abusive relationship that black NFL quarterbacks have as a result of the NFL's desire to hold them back. And it ain't just a desire, the practice of holding them back, the policies of race norming that they settled $1 billion lawsuit for. I want Shedeur to learn that so he can know this is not about your father. Your peers, Cam Ward, being forced to compete with the older white guy who already failed. Pittsburgh passing on Shedeur to satisfy Aaron Rodgers, who failed in New York. It ain't been good since 2022 and has allegations of domestic violence from Danica Patrick that the NFL has not looked into. Just like the NFL has not looked into that pink substance that very closely resembles Tusi, which has ketamine in it. And the purposes that that is intended for needs warrants investigation. But now they want to talk about a traffic ticket and send out the media to do a hit job. Well, the NFL is already guilty from the draft, so they can remain quiet, but we know who these guys out here being hypocritical for. I remember right before the draft started, somebody posted how embarrassing it is that people believe that people like Colin Cowherd and somebody else, NFL insiders, an anonymous source, could be running around spreading false narratives and it actually have an impact on the draft. And what did we see? What the head coach of the New York Giants said, which was purely defamatory, which was repeated anonymous source. Take that entitled so and so off the board. So apparently, voices like Colin Cowherd and NFL insiders like Albert Breer and coaches that lie because supposedly they worried about losing their jobs to somebody who has a contract with another company for 5 years. That's bullshit. The same words were lifted off their tongue. Take that entitled so and so. I wonder what they call it. It would sure be nice to get the discovery. I pray for more divine intervention. That case is not frivolous. It has merit and deserves to move forward. So y'all let me know what y'all thoughts. We gonna get out of here. We right at 1 hour and 1 minute. We will be back. We can continue the conversation at 4 o'clock, and we can talk about something else. 4 o'clock, 4:05. More what she said. The midday huddle. Thank y'all for the engagement today. Please support the channel so we can keep going up and keep just telling the truth. You have never heard the story about Aaron Rodgers and the claim for domestic violence? Yup, but the ticket is going viral, right? Because they actually suppressed that story. They actually chose the language to put in the caption. But there's a few outlets that just told it like it was. And it's out there. And we probably should talk about it. Because honestly, what does it say? That somebody like Danica Patrick, who's accomplished in her own career, could sit down in an interview and say something like that that's recorded that everybody can see, and the NFL chooses to turn a blind eye to it. And here it is, Aaron Rodgers running around with a wedding ring on, saying he married somebody, and his family is like, no, he didn't, which is likely manipulation. She said the relationship was abusive. And a trail of blood tells you exactly how abusive it was. They just want to talk about how she felt after the breakup. They don't want to talk about the allegations of domestic violence. Why? It's not like he's good. He's past his time. But he blocking Shedeur from Pittsburgh. So I guess they need him. Cowherd switches up every report, right? Trust nothing he says. Yep. Thank you, Max. Say I'll definitely be back. All right, y'all. All right. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. See y'all at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify.